All right, welcome back to Denoised. It is time for our weekly roundup of all the AI news stories in filmmaking.
Here's the AI Roundup.
Let's get into it. All right, we're back. Good to see you again, remotely, this time, Addy.
Yeah, good to see you too. We're not in person again, but we're still in the same town.
Yeah, you know, traffic. It's later in the day, so we might as well be in two different states. All right, so big week in AI for the open source model world, sort of. There's a sort of a caveat to that. But probably the biggest story this week is Wan 2.5. I texted you, I'm like, hey, did you hear about 2.5? And then you're like, Kling? And I was like, no, Wan, another model. They dropped another one. But this one's, well, so that's why I said this is sort of where my quotes in open source were. This one is not public or open weights yet. I'm assuming they will eventually release it. So you have to use it through their API or through their website, or Comfy has integration with it. But it's basically the next level of Wan. I don't know why they skipped 0.3 versions, but it is the next level that is sort of a VO3 competitor. It can generate video with audio, with text, with speech, all in one platform. Or in one output.
Yeah, and it's really powerful. Well, first of all, because it's completely open source and free. Like anybody can just grab it and use it in their Comfy UI session.
This one you can't right now. You have to use it through the API and pay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm assuming eventually there will be an open weight model you could run locally, but right now, because they're calling it 2.5 preview, and you have to use it through their API or through the Wan's website or through any of the partner integrations.
Oh, interesting. Wonder why they're doing that. Maybe because they want to just see how it's being used and feed that into further improving their product. But the test that I've been seeing online is a lot of character-to-character video transformations. So, you know, think of it as puppeteering for animation rigs and things like that.
I think you're mixing it up with another model again. There was Wan 2.2 Animate, which is a... Got him again.
Are you gonna fire me?
No, but I think now we need to make something where it's like, got Addy again. Nailed him.
Oh,
okay.
Damn. So, God, I'm so embarrassed, and I'm on camera.
So, well, I mean, it also goes to show that there's so many new updates. I think we covered it.
Okay, we got Wan 2.2 Animate, which is open source and used for...
It is basically like an open source runway Olive, or a runway Act 2, where you can give it a driving video for performance and a still image of a character, and you can drive the performance of that character. That's free, open source. You could load it in Comfy. They got workflows and stuff. That's like a week old, so it's a million years old already in AI land. This week was Wan 2.5, the newest model, preview model. You can't download it quite yet. You got to use it on the API. This thing is either text or image input, but the big lift of this is it generates audio. It could generate speech inside the video. It's one unified model. The closest thing we've seen to VO3 out of like any other model.
Absolutely. And they're making a big fuss about it being multimodal, which means you can train it on audio, video, and text at the same time. I'm guessing it's going to be very fine-tunable, just the way Wan 2.2 is.
Yeah.
And, what that means is if you have like the likeness of a person, let's say, I don't know, I'm just pulling an example here. Like you take Robert De Niro's physical likeness, his vocal likeness, and then you could train the model to have a digital Robert De Niro that is outputting audio and video.
Interesting, having that fine-tuned control.
Yeah, so that's just like a digital human example. Other examples could be taking entire, styles of story. So let's say you are building a world, and then that world has its own noises and sounds in it. You know, we talked about Star Wars having like the lightsaber sound and all the signature sounds of Star Wars. So let's say you designed a world like that, where it's not just a visual design, but a sonic design as well. you could train the model to have those two things output together and work together.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I ran a test, one quick shot inside Comfy using the model, and the nice thing about it is you do have a lot of resolution and framing options. So your usual 1:1, but you can also do full horizontal or for full vertical, starting from 480p all the way up to full 1080p outputs. Duration, you can either do 5 seconds or 10 seconds. And then you have the option if you want it to generate audio or not. And then by default, it came on with the watermark turned on, which is a bit weird. It had this little Chinese watermark in the bottom corner. And I was like, why is it there?
Oh, it's still in preview mode.
Found that you could just turn it off. I will say, I mean, look, it was maybe $1, I think, 1080 for a 10-second generation. So a lot less than VO3. And once, assuming they will eventually release this as a open source, then you can just run it on your hardware, which, depending on your hardware, could be take a long time or not. But I will say the quality, this was like a quick test for some action shot prompt.
Oh, yeah. That looks great.
Yeah, it still has like that AI-ness feel.
Yeah, it definitely feels synthetic.
I ran the same thing in VO3.
I mean, I'm sure you prompted for that camera rotation thing, right?
I did. I asked it for like a Michael Bay, like 180 orbit kind of thing. So that one is a bit more of a push-in.
Oh, it didn't get Michael Bay at all then, because Michael Bay does it around the character.
It didn't get that. But VO3 didn't get that, but it got VO3 definitely has more detail.
Oh, well, Moon Valley would probably nail that camera move.
Moon Valley, you could tell it the camera move. Yeah.
With the spline,
yeah, there's spline camera mover thing in it. Yeah, that's my one quick test. So it's definitely obviously not definitive, but it's good to have another VO3
maybe
competitor.
Wan. Yeah, who makes Wan? Is it Alibaba?
Yes. Yeah, Alibaba.
So maybe Alibaba's strategy here is to get market adoption with early versions of Wan 2.1 and 2.2, and then start charging people when they get to 2.5.
Yeah, I don't possibly, because we have wondered what is the business model for all the other models being free, essentially. I mean, it's probably to a point too where eventually you want to process powerful enough stuff, then you want to use their service to not have to wait an hour or 2 hours for one shot to generate. I'd be curious. I mean, but their whole playbook has been open model, so I would be surprised if this one they're just like, no, we're just you have to use it through an API and pay for it.
I think the benefit to Wan over VO3, if I were to pick one versus the other, is the only way you can customize something in VO3 is if you give it reference images and you sort of just trust it to build those references into the generation. With Wan, at least with Wan 2.2, you have really high level of control in that you can build a LoRa on the side and then attach it to the generation. So I'm guessing if we have the same level of LoRa and fine-tuning available for 2.5, that in itself could be a major game changer versus comparing apples to apples.
Yeah, to be able to put these into pipelines and do a lot more customization, that's a huge lift.
And then you can start to combine multiple LoRas at the same time. So, if, for example, you have I hate this example, but you have your Star Wars world, like you have your galactic world LoRa, which is building the backgrounds and sort of just putting you into that environment. And then you can combine it with the actor's likeness LoRa. So then you have control over who the people are. And obviously with audio attached to them, they would even sound like the actor.
Yeah. I'd be curious too if there's more control over the audio too, if this releases as an open model. Because right now it's sort of like the same bucket as VO3, where you can just describe the audio that you want in the prompt. But if there would be a way where it's like you can give it a voice sample, or you can give it audio inputs, or you can give it something else to have more control over what the audio part of the multimodal video generation would be.
Yeah, and also can you generate like completely new audio, like not just dialogue, but Foley or soundtrack and things like that?
Yeah, it did the similar. I mean, it did a similar thing in that test clip. My audio is not hooked up right now, but it added like some explosion sounds and some music sounds. So like it did.
How did it sound?
Like similar with VO3, where it's like, oh yeah, that sounds like it kind of fits, but it also sounds like it was ripped from a movie, sort of.
Garbage.
I did another test too where I had like a talking dog podcast, and I said make the dog say something, and it did do it, but the like lip sync wasn't as good as VO3. in this one test. I want to caveat these were just like one test outputs. It was not a very thorough test.
The View 3 audio, at least the examples that I'm thinking of, I mean, that audio is not usable at all for anything professional.
No, unless you want it to be weird and funny. But
it makes for a great LinkedIn post. But
this, at least I mean, the audio sounds weird, but the lip sync usually like pretty close to what it would look like. I just noticed too here in the Wan update with the new model that they specifically called out image capabilities with advanced image generation and image editing control. And this is interesting because this was sort of like Wan 2.2 came out and it was like intended to be a video generation model, but then a lot of people realized like if you just do one frame, it's actually also a really good image generation model. And so it seems like they're also leaning into that too, where it's like, oh, you use the same model, you could just use the same model and same control for just doing image outputs and editing.
Yeah, I've used Wan for image generation in the past. It's equally as good as any image generator, if not better. I think the one thing video generation models have over image generation models is that when you go into the latent space, you have not just a notion of the things that need to be generated, right? Like the tree or the sky or the person, but you also have a notion of time, and that really helps with image generation, because if you're generating somebody, that's in motion or they're doing something, the AI model is aware of how they're moving in time, and it's almost like a spatial understanding, an animated understanding of that person, which really helps with achieving like a slightly higher level of quality.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, Wan 2.5, excited to see where that goes. All right. Next up, also from Alibaba, Qwen, open source image generator, got an update. So Qwen Image Edit has existed, but now there is a new version with a terrible name called Qwen Image Edit 2509, assuming that is for the September update of 2025. But they basically said they rewrote the entire model, and it is with text-based editing on the level of like a Nano Banana or a Seed Dance but it's open source, free. There are comfy workflows you could download and run it, or you could use it on open platforms that have integrated it.
Yeah, I'm on the Qwen blog right now, and the main AI researcher, he's all over it. He puts his likeness on a bunch of the tests here.
On the blog post?
Yeah, if you go to the Qwen blog post. So the first one's really funny. They just take two arbitrary people and put them into a wedding photo. Yeah. It's kind of a bleak showcase of the future where it's not just synthetic people, but synthetic marriages.
You see the guy like who has all of these fake relationship photos of him and Taylor Swift that he posts on Facebook.
Yeah, this is right up that alley if you're into that kind of thing. Look, Qwen actually is quite well known in the open source community. It's been around for a while, and along with Stable Diffusion and Flux and some of the other open source image generation models, it's like a building block for a lot of custom workflows.
And this is a cool too, and this is also kind of ties into why it's powerful to have comfy in the workflow, because you could use the pose node to draw out exactly open pose what the exact pose you want, and build that into the workflow. And so then it poses your image generation with exactly what you want. So it really gets into that fine-tuned control of being able to like maneuver and tweak things to get the outputs that you want.
Yeah. And I wonder if there is any overlap at Alibaba between the Qwen technology and the Wan technology, because those come out at the same time.
I mean, they're two powerful products with different names. I've been curious, like, are these completely separate teams, completely separate models, or is there a lot of stuff pulled from the same training or models?
Yeah, I mean, to train models is so expensive, as you know, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Wan foundational model is just under the hood of the Qwen model, and the Qwen is just running like an additional couple of layers of network on top of that to achieve all of the customization and adjustability.
Yeah, and then also showcasing high text adherence, both in English and...
Are we ever going to have a week where we don't talk about a new model? Because it hasn't happened yet.
I don't know what we're going to talk about then. Look at this photo restoration one too. That's pretty wild.
I know. That's crazy. That's actually, it's funny. Some of the early examples in Nano Banana was photo restoration.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. It's a great use case. Yeah.
I mean,
New week,
Alibaba and
multiple
Google
models.
have been rivals for. Sorry,
Oh, no,
sorry.
same. Another
You
week,
go
more models.
Mo models, mo problems.
Yeah. There are more problems. Like keeping track of them.
No, what I was saying was, Google and Alibaba have been tech rivals for a decade, right, or even more. And I think when VO came out, Nano Banana came out, they couldn't wait to drop their version of those two things. It's just like an arms race between those two companies.
But I'm still just so curious of like where the drop in the free models, where that comes into play. I mean, I guess maybe the play is because, they're coming from Alibaba and they're basically kind of like the AWS of China, right? I'm not off base there in saying that like, oh, you got these models, are cool, you mess around with them, you build them into your apps, and then when you want to deploy and scale it up, you can't run that on your local computer. You got to power up some servers, and and Alibaba would be an option, so that you might use their servers to run these models. That's my my guess at the business model. All right, next one. Another one from Google Labs. This one is a Mixboard.
Yeah, interesting product. So this feels like somewhere between Miro and Nano Banana. If Miro and Nano Banana had a baby, this would be.
I mean, it is literally Nano Banana, and it is a bit Miro. Yeah, I mean, it's a very lightweight. Yeah, kind of like. Well, yeah, I guess it's too low lift of a comparison to call it to compare it to like Flora or the other AI, not mood boards, but the AI.
Yeah, like node-based. This is definitely not a node-based workflow. What I would call this is maybe just a visualizer for multiple outputs, an organizer of ideas, perhaps. Yeah,
it's a very nice, simple interface. You got your mood board features. You could drop images in. Down here on the bottom, you could just start generating stuff, and it'll just throw it in there. You don't have any model selections. It's just everything's running through Nano Banana.
You know what would be nice is if it did have model selections, or if Freepik or somebody like that released this product, within that platform.
Well, we'll have news about that in a second. But yeah, it's simple, and then it's like if you just click on an image, it adds it as a source image. If you highlight your images, it adds it as multiple source images. So you can just tell it what you want.
Again, if you're ideating and you're going through a lot of generations, let's say you're ideating on a movie and you're going through 100 different generations, you have to organize them at a shot level, at a sequence level. I mean, this is one way to do it. It's
maybe you have a batch of your characters and then a batch of some locations. You click on the character, click on the location, and then say make a medium shot from a high angle of this. So
it's like a digital whiteboard.
Yeah, and it's just convenient because it's like there isn't really anything new that you can't do in any of the other photo editing tools, but it's nice where it's like okay, because you don't have to download the files and re-upload them. It's like here you want to do something different, you just highlight them, you tell it what you want, and it makes a new image, and then you just repeat. I'm not quite clear how, as far as like plans, or if you have to be on a paid plan to use this, or if there's any usage limits. It's like, in their labs feature, so that's usually not, I don't know, as restricted. But I'm sure there's some usage limits.
I'm on an enterprise Google Workspace account, and I was able to use it just fine. Like it's part of Gemini and Nano Banana. Yeah,
I mean, I have a Workspace account too, so it's like I know I'm logged in, and so like I have Google AI plan. So, but I don't know, like if I was just on my regular Gmail account with like no Google AI plan, I don't know if there's a different usage limit because there's no indicator here of like credits or usage or anything like that. So I don't know. I mean, I assume.
I'm guessing not.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you want a free Nano Banana hack, this might be the way to use it. But I'm sure if you churn out a bunch of stuff, it will eventually yell at you. But as of right now, can't quite tell if there actually is a usage limit. Yeah, the other thing, they've got some other handy tools here too. I will say to either make more images like this one or remove background, which is also a handy feature to have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. New cool tool from Google.
I'm surprised at how good AI is at removing backgrounds, just in general, across all the models.
It's like funny how like that became like rotoscoping or just removing background stuff. It's like pretty solved. Yeah.
All right. Next one is Google Flow.
Yeah, it's a grab bag of updates in Flow. So Flow is Google's web product for their video creation tools. So it's where if you want to use VO3, that's sort of the home base if you're using Google's built-in product. They added a couple new features. One is prompt expanders. And so this is actually kind of cool. Basically, you can assign sort of presets of like your scene or your look inside Flow. So when you do your scene generations, it can have some persistent memory to keep some elements the same, like keep the style the same or the location the same. So you can kind of build out, it has like more prompting options to keep some elements consistent in your prompting while you try to change or modify other elements. So I think that's like a nice, useful, like kind of filmmaking, AI filmmaking.
It's like a natural
feature.
Evolution of a platform. Or I guess enough user feedback was gathered where they're like, yeah, we obviously need a notion of what we're working on, memory of what we're working on.
Yeah, I mean, this is something you could have built yourself when you're building out a prompt thing, like in a Gemini Gem or in your Claude project, where you can kind of build settings and have it incorporated to the prompt every time you generate a prompt. But this just, it's like if it could save you a step of having to like round trip between one tool to make your prompts and one tool to make your videos, like awesome, great.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, there's just the Google tool set is still a little bit unorganized in my opinion. Like they're still just a little bit all over the place.
I think a lot of their stuff is like they kind of just throw a bunch of products out there and see what sticks and then potentially double down on it. I mean, that's also why I'm always like a little bit hesitant of fully adapting a Google tool into my workflow, because I think we talked about this a while ago, but like I have a long history of using Google tools over the last 15, 20 years, and that they end up killing, whether it's like Google Notebook, Google Reader. I was not a big user of Google Wave, but I don't know if anyone remembers Google Wave when they tried to build an alternate to email.
You talked about this before. I'm guessing you must have lost something significant in one of those product discontinuities.
I mean, they're really good products that I used a lot, and then there's just, there's just left a void in my life of not having Google Notebook around.
Yes, which you're still trying to fill to this day. You should just go to Alibaba.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think Flow's going anywhere, but, like if you're like, oh, Google Mixboard, I'm going to like, that's going to be my new Mixboard. It's in the labs feature, and it's like, I wouldn't be surprised if one day they're just like, well, we'll just toss it out.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Other update in Flow, too, and this also ties into just like making the platform easier to use. Now, when you have your images, your frames inside Flow, you can instantly edit those images with Nano Banana. So Nano Banana is like integrated inside Flow, so you can modify your images. Again, saving you like that round trip step of like pulling your images into different platforms, which is always good to see. And then also speaking of Nano Banana, now in Photoshop Beta, Nano Banana is integrated inside Photoshop. So you can prompt, do changes, it comes into the layer. You can also use it with the Harmonize feature, which blends elements together, which we talked about a few weeks ago. So yeah, I think there was that guy that built that plugin that we talked about like a few episodes ago. And then we're like, well, it's only a matter of time before Adobe just does it natively.
Yeah. And it totally makes sense. It's solving that last mile problem, right? It's what you just talked about. It's like eliminating all the round tripping when you're, doing a giant project. Imagine like the number of times, if it's like 3 operations per image times 100 images, that's a lot of time you're just wasting.
Yeah, and like to be in your main tool set that you're using and just have everything there. And so you just call up what you need, but stay in your tool set and have that control and send layers, like just the layers you need, and save all those export steps. There's an awesome setup for doing that. And having
Adobe opening up their ecosystem to third-party models is probably the smartest thing they have done in a long time, because stuff is just so powerful now, way more powerful than Firefly could have ever been.
Yeah, I will say, because I've been messing around with Firefly boards, which is actually like the best Firefly product that Adobe has made. It's a good board generator. It's like sort of like the Mixboard thing we just talked about. I think we were both out of town when Firefly boards came out, but it's basically same idea. It's a mood board, but you can call up a bunch of image models, you can call up a bunch of video models, but it also tracks the prompts that you used, and it tracks the model that you used in that image. So if you move that image around to other apps, it'll track the where it came from, which is just nice for like kind of AI like authenticity and tracking where data came from.
Yeah.
But it has Firefly 4, their newer image model, built in, and I messed with it, and it was actually like decent. It was Firefly was sort of the punching bag of AI models in their early version, but I was pleasantly surprised for it was.
You're also a really nice guy.
I've been trying to be optimistic, but
you're very easy on on things.
Well, no, I mean, we've talked about how the first Fireflies were pretty useless, but the newer ones were pretty good. Good for Firefly. I mean, it's not a
Good for Adobe, good for Firefly. Yeah,
but the Firefly boards is actually pretty handy product that they built.
Well, that's it's funny you bring that up. That's like the number one dilemma with any image generation model is like when you go a commercially safe route. At least the notion of what commercially safe is today. You're looking at hundreds of millions of images to train on. But if you go with publicly available data, then you're looking at billions and billions of images to train on. And so you can't have maybe both licensed commercially safe training data and output quality at the same time. Like these are some of the things that are still up in the air.
Yeah. To be figured out. All right. And then speaking of boards, another update from Freepik. So they've sort of been teasing this. They're calling it Freepik Spaces. It's not out yet. I think they have a wait list or some beta testing, but it's basically a board node-based version of Freepik. So similar to
Cool.
Weebly or similar to Flora, but inside Freepik. This is cool to see.
Shout out to Joaquin. He was on our show a few episodes back. I mean, look, you and I use we're not sponsored by Freepik. We just use it because
for it, but I like their model.
Yeah, I pay for it too, and it's just such a well-designed aggregator of everything that's available today, more or less.
Yeah, they've got the models in there right there, and I mean, like the unlimited image generation, it just removes that mental barrier where it's just like, yeah, cool. Like I feel free to make pics.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm also hoping that this does, because the one weakness, and we talked about this in our interview with Joaquin, is their collaboration tools are kind of non-existent. So like if we're working on multiple projects and we're trying to do images in the same feed, their organization is kind of rough, and so like stuff gets mixed in together all the time. It's kind of hard to find elements from other projects. It's hard to collaborate with other people. So I'm hoping the board feature also adds more kind of collaboration tools and features into Freepik as a platform.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps history of everything you generate, but it'd be nice to like put it into project buckets or something like that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we're working on this project. Everything we generate should just stay in this project. And then if you flag it, it's like a select or something, and you can organize it there, but just to keep better project separation.
You know who does that really well is Frame.io.
Frame.io?
Frame.io, just the way it sorts out projects and keeps like who should access what and so on and so forth.
Oh, you mean just more from like an asset management perspective?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Frame.io for that. I was thinking I was just jogging my brain you could use AI. You could generate AI in Frame.io.
You didn't know, Joey? Excuse me.
Frame.io, my favorite model.
Yeah. They dropped last night.
Yeah. I mean, they did finally add transcription to videos like a few months ago, so that was a cool feature.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, some other updates from Topaz. They dropped a couple new upscaling models. So one is Starlight Sharp. So it's their newest model in the Starlight family, and it basically can upscale with an extra level of definition not present in any other offering.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's a diffusion-based video restoration model. So it's doing a lot of infilling with generative AI is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what their initial Starlight model did, so this one just seems like extra sharp. But yeah, the Starlight model is good for both synthetic data, like AI-generated stuff that you want to upscale, and just restoring video footage that you want it to look sharper. Like I've run the original Starlight on some archival video, and I do struggle just my brain of trying to decipher it looks good, but it's like, does it look really good and sharp and I'm just not used to it? Or is it too in the uncanny valley weirdness phase? And I've had a tough time with my brain figuring out if it just looks like it should have looked, from upscaling a 360 video to HD, or uncanny valley weird. But it's good.
Yeah,
it's a really good upscaler.
I upscaled some old VHS tapes of my childhood, and
how to look.
The shots that it did really well in is close-ups and medium shots, but then when it's super wide, if you have the beach and the palm trees, but then you have the tiny people, you just can't figure out what those things
when there's
are.
just no detail there, and the wide shots with crowd stuff or details in the background, yeah, it still doesn't do a great job because it just doesn't know what was supposed to be there.
Well, that's the thing. I think if you integrate a VLM into the solve, then it could look at the frame and detect that it's a beach, and the beach, those dots on the beach are people, and then tell the diffusion model to generate people.
So like it knows that should be a crowd, that should be sand, that should be building skyline in the far distance that's like kind of blurry.
Maybe they're working on it already.
I'm sure they are. And the other model is
we are.
Like yes, we know we are aware of this.
Yeah.
The other model from them is NYX XL. This one's specifically focusing on denoising videos while preserving detail. So this is just a cool, like, you've got some older footage or you got like some super zoomed in iPhone footage that you're trying to sharpen up. You know, I like these kind of models where they're very like specific for like, you got a very specific problem with your video. Here's how you can fix it. This is probably it's in Topaz Video. I know they've been doing some rebranding because initially like it was Topaz like Video AI, which was a software you ran on your computer and like these models would run locally. I think they've been shifting a lot more stuff where you can, it's just a subscription package and stuff runs on the cloud. So you don't have to have a beefy computer to run Topaz anymore.
Yeah, I mean, video restoration must be so GPU intensive. First of all, how many people out there have a computer good enough to do this? So you're significantly limiting your customer base if you just have a local version. And also the opportunity to mark up a cloud access and usage on the cloud. I mean, that's just like recurring revenue at its best.
Yeah, I mean, it's, now that you mentioned that, it's kind of funny that they sort of, seem to have found this new use case too with like so much AI generated video that needs upscaling. Because before Topaz was sort of like this thing you knew about if you were like maybe in like the documentary space and you're like, we got this like archival footage, how can we improve the quality of it? Or you need to like fix a video with issues. Now it's like has so many other use cases and like such a bigger market of users who just like, I mean, AI video, I need to like make it sharper, make it look better.
Yeah, Topaz is kind of like a name that is saturating into the mainstream a little bit. I was talking to somebody outside of our industry the other day and they knew what it was. And I was like, I was really shocked because most AI tools are stuff that you and I talk about and nobody else has any clue about.
Outside of like ChatGPT.
Right.
Exactly. I'm not, like even Claude, I was like, I don't think most people know what Claude is. Speak to Claude.
The painter?
So there's new integration with Claude Code and Figma.
Nice.
So through MCP, the Model Context Protocol, which we talked about a couple months ago, which is sort of like Claude's protocol where AI can talk to other apps. This integrates with Figma. So the idea is you could build out your interface in Figma and just point it to Claude Code and it will automatically like look at your interface and build out your app.
So cool.
But honor the interface that you built. So it kind of solves front-end design. You build out the front end, it programs everything.
And give our viewers like what Figma is for those of them who don't know what it is.
I mean, Figma is basically a web-based version. It's a web-based design tool.
Right, for user interfaces and stuff like that. I would say,
I mean, it's sort of like Illustrator.
90% of the user interfaces.
I was saying it's sort of like a web version of Illustrator, but I don't know if Illustrator is a good comparison because people might not know what that is either.
It's like Illustrator on steroids. So you can do page transitions when you click a button, what that button opens up, and so you can actually wrap up quite a bit of your user interface into Figma without ever writing a line of code. And it's really easy to use. There's like no technical hurdle to overcome. But then the challenge is, how do you take this like really sleek user interface that you design in Figma and then actually implement it back into an application that you're building? So I think this is a game changer because most of the times UI designers aren't going to write code. And then the people that write code don't understand UI very well, right? So this is bridging those two worlds really well.
I mean, and there's a lot of jokes too, where you like built out something that looks really cool in Figma, or your like design looks awesome, but then when it actually gets built and turns into a functioning app or website, that the design completely falls apart.
Yeah, if you go to like any modern website now, that has the fancy buttons and like as you slide up the website, things happen and or if you're running any app outside of, your Android app or your iOS apps, the native ones, chances are it was designed on Figma. It's like the number one tool for UX designers across the world.
So yeah, this is cool. I'm excited to see how this like people use this. And also, like, I'm thinking, this is an example where it's like, oh, it's integrating with a popular app. What happens when that also integrates, like you have Claude integrating with something that's more photo related or video related, and it can do powerful automated, either rough kind of assemblies.
Yeah, and it's funny you touched on MCP, Model Context Protocol. Like, the more and more I hear about it, the more it's sort of just replacing traditional API connections. Yeah, and going into that route. It's like a more sophisticated version of how two applications talk to each other.
Yeah, I found pros and cons with them because I've been messing around with Claude Code, and I was trying to connect it to like Airtable, and I initially tried the MCP connection, and it would just sometimes take a long time to find the thing because it's using AI, and so it's the advantage of MCP is you don't have to give it such defined data like you do with API. APIs, they need a very defined data set and fields and all sorts of information. MCP could be like, yeah, find me this task on like this thing or this record on this thing, and it can understand the abstract language. It just took a lot longer. And the thing I was trying to do was just like automate a bunch of fields like fast. And so then I found it was actually quicker and easier to just have it use API, and it built a script. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. I just tell Claude Code, like, do this for me. And it's like, okay. And it built a Python script
it's
to connect to Airtable.
Well, first of all, it's pretty cool that you took on such a technical challenge, and it's crazy that you almost got it figured out.
I mean, I figured it out with the API. That worked faster. Yeah. So now when it needs to update stuff, it's just like runs its little Python script, and it's like, okay, and it's updated. So I feel basically I'm saying there's like pros and cons to the API and the MCP, but the MCP is definitely for I think stuff like this Figma integration, like you wouldn't be able to do that any other way.
Yeah, and we're going to see more MCP deployments.
We had that Blender integration demo like a couple months ago, which I haven't really seen anything new come out of that, but I'm sure we'll see more of that as well. For like, build out a basic animation of this character and just kind of builds out the groundwork so you can jump in and take her and modify it, but at least you have a starting point.
Yeah, I wonder why not like some of the more complex enterprise level tools like Houdini, Maya, Unreal come to mind, Unity. Like, it's just ripe for the taking. Somebody just has to come in and build a really kick-ass user assistant feature.
Oh, that integrates with these tools?
Yeah. Like if you train a custom model on all things Maya, like learning Maya takes years, decades even. What if you could shortcut that to like 2 weeks?
I don't have any disagreement to that. That would be very powerful.
Yeah, I guess the question is like, where's the money in it, and why would you do it? And when there's AI,
I mean, if you could expand your user base, but then it's like, what do you do? Like, are people just still going to get Maya, or is it just better to build a more simplified 3D program?
Yeah, exactly.
Like start from scratch. I don't know. I went to the Comfy UI meetup yesterday that was at Fabric in Venice, and there's definitely like a growing number of people in the crowd who are traditional M&E background and are AI curious and are growing and like wanting to figure out like how to adopt these tools. And there was a good group of people who were like traditional video editors. And then there was also someone who was like VFX 20 years, who's like, I was around, during the formation of Nuke and all of these other tools and saw the shift, to node-based VFX work. And then he's like, I see Comfy UI, and he's like, this is the next VFX thing. This is the next Nuke for the like AI VFX age. So that was a very interesting comment from someone who's been around in VFX for
that's very encouraging to see some of the tides sort of shifting. And I think we talked about it before. It's like the folks that have expertise in VFX, I think those are the game changers of our world because they have the eye, they have the discipline, they put 12 hours in front of a computer, no problem, right? All they have to do is just learn this new stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, and the last thing on our list of the AI Roundup is Suno. The controversial music platform is back with a new version called V5. Now, it's kind of cryptic. We're having a hard time finding what's new with it, but
better?
It's better. And how is it better? With most audio models, as you can imagine, it's all about clarity, control, the ability to separate out the tracks, so have stems, the ability to have more control over vocals. So perhaps they have a better vocal generation, a cleaner, higher frequency sound and things like that.
Yeah, I'm just guessing. Yeah, better vocals, better quality. Yeah, I mean, I found Suno out of the box is pretty good at making. I mean, I only use it for trying to make some background beats or something. Yeah, I mean, the lyrics are funny. I wouldn't.
That's one thing
publish
that
anything, but we've talked about that before.
Suno does actually well is it'll do, I think it'll do voice to voice, so you can give it like scratch reading or scratch singing something, and it'll turn that into actual vocals. That's
cool. Yeah, I can see that's like good if you're a musician and trying to kind of brainstorm ideas or test things out more quickly. Yeah. But maybe we'll talk about it in the future, but I saw Spotify just came out with some new guidelines around clarifying when songs were AI generated to sort of fight back on the flood of AI generated music without any human input. So yeah, you got this kind of battle of Suno 5 coming out, where it's probably going to sound even better and more realistic and more higher quality, and Spotify and everyone else fighting against the flood of
ethically
AI stuff being dumped out.
I'm so torn ethically when I listen to AI music, as well as looking at some of the AI quote unquote movies. But the music hits harder for me because it's so much closer to real music.
I mean, the music thing is also like, it is a one button and you get something that you could listen to and sounds kind of decent, where there's like no human input
at all.
Really.
And then if you think about like how long people need to learn an instrument proficiently enough to play it at a level where, the output is usable for music. I mean, you're shortcutting all of that, with just a prompt. It just doesn't seem fair.
Well, the AI Suno band can't go on tour and play for you live. So if you're a real musician, you got the live show buffer.
I mean, I feel like bleak. I don't know. I'm feeling bleak today for some reason. So dystopian view of the future is the AI band is just projected up on an LED wall with digital avatars, and you're just jam-packed physically with a concert goer next to you, and you guys are all looking at the screen with digital performers.
No, we're all looking at the AI band inside the metaverse in our Meta headsets.
That's right. Yes, the Meta Ray-Bans. Yeah.
With
Meta Ray-Ban 5s.
And then even worse, it could be like the version of that social media app where, I forgot what it's called, but it's basically like an app. It was like a fake news feed where like you log on and it's like, you post stuff, and then a bunch of like AI bots reply to you and like kind of give you that that dopamine boost of kind of going viral, but it's all fake. So it's you at your concert in the metaverse, surrounded by the whole crowd, but the whole crowd is AI.
It's
AI
bots.
Yeah. It's you, AI bots in the crowd watching AI music performance. Is that a bleak enough future?
It's way more bleak than mine. I don't know what you've been doing all morning, but yeah, okay, you beat me to it.
I was just going there. Riffing.
You're just riffing. That's great. I'm kind of glad you didn't come over to the house today.
Because log off. Bye. All right, well, a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah.
On that note. Links for everything we talked about at denoisedpodcast.com or down in the show notes on YouTube.
If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, do us a tiny little favor, leave us a 5-star review. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of your iOS app, it's down there. Most people can't find it, but yeah, it's all the way at the bottom.
All right, thanks everyone. We'll catch you in the next episode.